Okay, so what we'll start with is the myofascial release practice. I left my therapy balls, but I found some trusty tennis balls, so I'm just going to use these to demonstrate. So you'll want to use your 2 balls for the practice. You can, for the first one, keep them in the bag, and the spot we're going to work on finding is at that space right at the top of the shoulder blades in the center. So I'm just going to put them on my back where you can see the area that we're looking for right about there. So once you have the balls handy, you can lie down on your back. I usually like to start placing them from above and then just kind of scooching down until they're right into that appropriate spot. So once you're there, just take a couple of breaths. You could let the back of the head come into the mat, the arms relaxing, maybe a little wider out to the sides with your hands. Tends to give you a little more space. You can find a little more ease there. And just some nice deep breaths in and out through the nose. And bringing your focus, if you need to, letting the tip of the tongue rest on the roof of the mouth. Find the soft palate with your awareness and just guide your attention to the back of the soft palate where it meets the throat, to the center of the skull where it sits atop your spine. And just focus into that space for a couple of breaths as well. Noticing any tensions in the body, especially in the face, the jaw, or in the shoulders, the upper back, wherever you feel the balls pressing. Just becoming aware of the upper body. Taking a few more breaths. And then once you feel a little more settled and comfortable on your inhale, you'll reach the hands up towards the ceiling and then let the arms drop over the top of the head towards the floor above you, just however far you can go with that. Pause there for a breath or two and just feel the different position of the arms, what it creates in the upper back. And then the arms coming back down. You can do whatever breath works with you, but I usually like to inhale when I'm reaching overhead, creating a nice sense of space, a little lift of the shoulders towards the skull, and then exhaling, bringing it back down. You might also try elbows bent for a few rounds, just see if that gives you any different sensation, or that works better for you, or if it's a little more challenging, just whatever keeps you interested and present, engaged into the little bit of movement and waking up the shoulders, upper back. So just a couple more rounds there on your own. And you can again always feel free to take a little bit more time in any of these movements too if you really got some stuff going on. So the next movement, the windshield wipers, just arms out to the sides. Again, as you start to get over the height of the shoulders with your hands relative to your body, you might just lift the hands away from the floor to go a little bit further into that range of motion, but you don't have to. You can stop wherever if there's too much intensity, or if you just want to kind of pause and feel out a certain space of the movement. So again, inhaling on the way up, and exhaling, bringing it back down. You can keep the palms facing up. You might try rotating so that the palms face towards the center on the bottom position, palms facing towards the ceiling when you're about shoulder height, and then palms again facing towards each other overhead. That's just a way to work into a little bit of a rotation of the arm bones. There's something a little different there that you can add if you feel comfortable to do so. Being mindful of the spaces where you feel that tight spot or that tight part of the range of motion. And really breathing deeply, focusing again to the back of the soft palate. The little reach through that space helps just to bring some balance to the musculature of the upper back. Okay, and then when you feel like you've gotten kind of loosened through that, you can move the balls down a little bit simply by rolling your body towards the back of your mat. So the balls reach the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. You're going to grab hold of opposite elbows, just pull the arms side to side for a few breaths. Doesn't matter how far you go towards the floor, but you're just, again, opening up those spaces in the mid-ribs, using your breath. things loosen up. Once you're a little more loose, elbows drop to the floor on either side, fingers start pointing up towards the ceiling, and then you'll let the arms drop towards the top of the mat or the back of the mat. And then turning your fingertips towards the front of the mat, or the space where your feet are, and doing that movement a few times. You can make this kind of a progression of the snow angels, going from your goalpost position, stretching the arms back up, and then bending the elbows, bringing the fingers down, and then reaching your hands down. So that's just a little bit more of a kind of dynamic coordination. If you prefer here too, you can also just do that simple snow angel again. So either of those movements work great here. Again, 5 to 10 rounds of movement's a good number to go for. You can do a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on what you've got time for and how your body's feeling. Okay, so that's the stuff for the upper back. The next portion we're going to work into, and I'm just going to touch base on this really quickly. Again, you can kind of take some extra time to do it on your own. We'll take one of the balls, place it with the same side hand that you're going to work on, just on the front of your pec or your chest muscle. It's between the collarbone and kind of the nipple area there is where you're aiming for, and then the other hand places the block on top of the ball and a light pressure downward as you just gently start to kind of move the ball around. You're feeling again for any muscle spaces that are a little more tender or sensitive. Or you might even feel like a little knot or bump in the muscle space anywhere. So if you find anything like that, just hold light pressure, and then again you're going to work with that flexion extension in the shoulder joint for a few breaths. Now, a good space to focus into here, the center of the collarbones, slightly drawing up towards the chin tucking towards the collarbone. So that will actually help to kind of open up the chest muscles a little bit by creating space in the front ribs. So after you do a few rounds here, you can take again that little snow angel motion, and feel free to move the ball too, so you might find again a couple of different spots as you work through each side. And this is just kind of clearing out any, again, muscular connective tissue gunk that might be kind of binding the muscles together, freezing up the joint any amount, and we're just clearing that out. Deep breaths again to really help get the energy moving from the inside. You can also just play around with any other movements there, so like a circle on the ceiling with your hand or something like that. You can try with the elbow bent, see if that gives you just any different sense or feeling of the movement. Okay, so once you get one side, you're just going to go to the other. And again, just massage the space a little bit with the ball pressing down, the block kind of applying pressure that way. Once you find a good spot, you're flexing, extending the shoulder, moving really slow, breathing deeply. Again, it's not about how far you go or how many rounds you get through, more so just really tuning in, being aware of these little areas of resistance or tension, stuck energy, whatever you want to look at it as, that is present in your upper body there. And you're moving, you're breathing to clear that out. You can also remember to spread the fingers open. That opens up some of the pathways, the channels of the upper body. So once you feel complete with the second side, no rush. You can go ahead and release, and I kind of rushed through that again, so feel free to take some more time to do that on your own, or again, you can do that just kind of as an individual thing if you feel any tension in the shoulders, chest, or neck in the upcoming weeks. So the next spot, we're going to find both balls outside of their bag. So you're going to separate the balls a little bit wider away from the spine, and we're kind of thinking about the area, the height of your belly button on the back of the body, and a little wider out towards the sides of the waist as opposed to really close to the spine. This is a specific, point we're going for today. Now, starting with the block and just letting the pelvis rest on the mat, you can do a few of your pelvic tilts here. You're going to want to work with the breath, Focus down to the bottom of the pelvis. As you inhale, you're just guiding your breath down there with your awareness present in that space. As you exhale, squeezing the block, just lightly, gently lifting the bottom of the bowl up. And then again, inhaling to release. Again, you just want to be mindful of what your experience shows you, where there's tightness, if there's any sensitivity or tenderness, and go breathing into it. And then redirecting that energy by squeezing the block, engaging the muscles at the base of the pelvis. Okay, and then your final movement in this position is going to be the windshield wiper. You can start with one leg out to the side, back to center, and then the other. Just taking it nice and slow to start. Gosh, I forget how awesome this is. I should do this every day. And then lastly, you can do both knees in one direction, back to center, both knees in the other. Now the tendency with this one is to let your pelvis roll, which will actually kind of lift you away from the ball on one side as your legs go the other way. So think less about trying to get to the floor with the thighs, and in this case you're actually just letting the thighs go as far as they can without the back of the body lifting off of either ball. So you're keeping kind of that heaviness, the weight of your body on the balls, and just moving the thighs around in the hip joints. There might not even be too much movement of the pelvis side to side, but you should feel still that the weight of the legs brings a little bit of extra sensation to one side and then back into the other. So that's something where we're going a little bit more cautiously side to side, right? We're not just swinging the legs as far as we can either direction, so keep that in mind for this one. Okay, once you feel good there, we're ready to move on. We're going to bring the balls down to the outer hips. So you'll be on kind of the glute muscle, so the bigger butt muscle. We want to, again, kind of be a little more out to the sides. If you can find with your fingers, there's this big kind of bony part on the outer part of your pelvis. Is actually your outer thigh bone, right, where the hip joint is on the outside. So you're about an inch, maybe 2 inches in from there, and a little bit more towards the lower back. Okay, and again, the specific spot isn't so important for the therapy balls, but you can kind of use that as a guide. So once you're there, again, just one leg at a time, opening out to the side. And just be mindful of your posture, your breath. You're trying to just be as balanced the position as you can be. This is one where you can also do the pelvic tilt. I usually like to find the bound angle position and then just kind of let the tailbone tuck down or drop down and then curl the base of the pelvis up a little bit there. So that just gets the energy again a little more centered for us. Allows the balls to kind of massage out some of those muscle connections in the outer hips. That one feels nice. Okay, to go deeper with the hip work, you can pick up one leg, bring that knee towards the chest. Again, you want your pelvis to kind of be heavy into the ball, so you're pinning them down. And then you can move the leg forward, reaching through the heel, bring the knee back in. So a few rounds there, again, keeping the abs engaged, just a little bit of energy in the lower belly. And you can do the same thing with the thigh open out to the side. So it's like a little half frog kick here. To progress this movement, the other foot lifts and you can bring the knee in towards the chest. So that'll just, again, kind of put a little bit more energy or pressure into the balls, especially on the moving leg side. Okay, once you have one side done, you can grab the other leg or just plant the foot back to the floor. Either works. And again, knee to chest, extend the leg forward. Reach through the heel. Try to keep core engaged, a little inner thigh squeeze when the legs are just moving straight back and forth this way. And then opening the thigh out to the side, turning the toes out, kicking the heel forward, and bringing it back. So those are the couple movements you can do for that one. And these are great, especially in the lower back and hip space. If you have muscle tension or you're feeling kind of stiff or tight in the body anywhere, these points are actually really good release points that help to kind of get energy flowing, especially relax the connective tissue system, especially as we get into our sporadic weather season of the fall. That's really helpful because some days you might notice that your body just feels stiff and you're not really sure why. The weather can have kind of an impact on us, so that's a nice way that you can help to, again, kind of balance out yourself. Okay, awesome. So that's the myofascial release points that I'm going to recommend that you work on this month.